Hi everyone, my name is Madhuri Suresh and I am the Senior Instructor for CCIE Data Center at Nitij Sharma Global Tech Private Limited. Today we are going to be continuing with the VPC series that we had started previously. If in case you have not checked it out, kindly click on the link above so you are directed to that particular video. In today's class, we are going to be talking about a couple of other things with regards to VPC. Previously, we had spoken about the terminologies. Moving ahead, very first thing, there are actually two types of MAC addresses in VPC. One is something called as the local MAC address, and the other one called as system MAC address. Now, what is the meaning of local MAC address? So, whenever it is that you are using VPC, as we have already discussed, this is a technology between two devices. So, I'm going to call this device A and this device B. We have a couple of links which again we have already discussed about. So, this is the peer link, peer keep alive link, and we also have the downstream device here at the bottom, which is always going to be port channel connected to both the upstream devices. So what is local MAC address? Local MAC address is nothing but the individual MAC addresses of both of these boxes. So both of these are Nexus switches. They will have their own internal MAC address. They'll have their own physical embedded MAC address. So whatever is the MAC address, for example, I'm just going to take this as AAA, BBB. So whatever are their individual MAC addresses, those are called as local system MAC address. What is system MAC address? System MAC address is nothing but whenever it is that you have built VPC, right? So when you configure VPC, the domain has been created between both of these devices, there is actually a virtual MAC address that gets generated. This virtual MAC address is what is called as a system MAC address. So local MAC address, I'll write it down. The individual MAC addresses of your peer devices. System MAC address, this is your virtual MAC address generated once you have configured VPC. Virtual MAC address that is generated, this is what is called as a system MAC address. And always remember, this virtual MAC address is always generated based on whatever is the domain ID that you would have configured. So whenever it is that you configure VPC, as we discussed earlier, you will always have to give a domain ID, and that domain ID has to be the same on both of these Nexus devices, right? So whatever is the domain ID, based on what you have configured, for example, I've taken it as 100. So based on whatever you have configured, a virtual MAC address is generated. And always remember, please, from the downstream device's point of view, when you check, right, as in when you log into the device and when you check its LACP neighbor, its port channel neighbor, you will always be able to see this virtual MAC address as the neighbor. So that's how the downstream device understands or gets to know that it is only connected to one box because it only sees this one MAC address and not two individual MAC addresses, as in not two individual boxes. Next, we are also going to be discussing about something called as a loop avoidance mechanism. So in VPC, there is actually by default a loop avoidance mechanism that keeps running. You don't have to enable anything for this mechanism to start working. As soon as you configure VPC between the two boxes, the loop avoidance mechanism is just always running. And obviously, like the name says, this is to basically avoid loops because VPC is a pure layer 2 technology. So definitely to avoid loops, this mechanism is always there, and it mainly works at the data plane level. So what the loop avoidance mechanism states is, if in case, so whenever it is that traffic has to egress or basically exit from the downstream device, whether the traffic goes towards A or towards B, that decision is purely taken on the LACP hashing algorithm that is running on that port channel. So it could go either ways. If in case the traffic is hashed like this, right? And if that particular traffic, the same traffic, is forwarded across the peer link towards the other peer device, then please remember that that traffic, the same traffic, cannot egress, cannot exit from the member port which is present on the other peer device. This is your loop avoidance mechanism, and of course the rule applies towards the other direction as well. So I'll just write it over here. If in case my traffic is hashed towards, let's say, B, right, and if that traffic crosses the peer link sent towards the other device which is A, the traffic cannot egress, it cannot exit from the member port which is present on the other peer device. And please remember, it has nothing to do with the roles. I still have not mentioned the roles, which we will be discussing about in just a couple of minutes, but it has nothing to do with the roles. It's just that if my traffic has entered through the member port of one device, and if that traffic has crossed the peer link towards the other device, then it cannot egress, it cannot exit from the member port present on the other device. So this is your default loop avoidance mechanism. But there is one exception to this rule. The only exception to this rule is if in case the ingressing member port, as in the member port through which it ingressed, right, the member port through which it entered, if that member port goes down due to any XYZ reason, then of course your traffic will have to come out. So only then your traffic can actually egress from the member port present on the other side. Okay. The last topic for today is roles in VPC. So whenever it is that you are using VPC, there are roles. So I have these two switches A and B, between which I have configured VPC, downstream device. So there is actually an election process that takes place between both of these devices. The election process is always firstly taking place based on something called as role priority. By default, this role priority is 32667. So by default, the role priority is 32667. Based on the role priority, there is an election process that takes place between the two devices, where one device gets elected as the primary device and the other device gets elected as the secondary device. Out of the two devices, whichever device has the least priority value, the lesser value is considered the better one. So between the two devices, whichever device has the least priority, that particular device gets elected as the primary and the other one becomes the secondary device. Now, what if the role priority is the same? Because by default there is a value. So what if the role priorities are matching on both of the devices? Then in such cases, the tiebreaker is local system MAC address. Each of these devices have their own MAC addresses, right? Like I just mentioned. Again, I'm just taking AAA, BBB as their individual MAC addresses. So between the MAC addresses, the individual MAC addresses, which of the MAC address has a lesser value? So again, A in my case is a lesser value than B. So this device gets selected as the primary, whereas this device gets selected as the secondary device. So these are the two main roles, primary and secondary, between the two devices. Now, exactly what is primary and what is secondary? So for now, primary device, whichever device has been elected as the primary between the two, that particular device is the main device to handle control plane traffic. The secondary device is active. Please remember that both of these devices are actually active, so they are not in an active standby mode. They both are active. But when it comes to control plane traffic can mainly be handled only by the primary device by default. So what do I mean by control plane traffic? Control plane traffic in layer 2, because VPC is layer 2. So includes any of your ARPs as well as BPDUs as well. Okay, so if in case there are any ARP requests or any BPDUs, STP BPDUs, then they will be handled only by the primary device, and this is the default behavior. Is there any way that we can give control plane responsibility to the secondary device? We shall discuss about that later in the upcoming videos. But as of now, primary device is the main device for control plane. Secondary device is active, it will be able to handle your data plane traffic. So whenever it is that if there is any control plane traffic and your control plane traffic is exiting from the downstream device, and let us assume that it has been hashed towards the primary device, which in my case is A. This is control plane traffic, by the way. Right? Then in such cases, absolutely no issues, because this is the primary can handle control plane, it can process control plane. So it is pretty straightforward. But if in case control plane traffic is hashed towards the secondary device, secondary by default cannot handle any sort of control plane traffic. So what it will do is it will be forced to basically go ahead, use the peer link to forward that particular traffic towards the primary device so that the primary can handle it. Okay, so this is how it happens. And when it comes to data plane, again, your traffic can go here or over here, depends on the port channel hashing algorithm. So for the data plane, it doesn't really matter. Both of them are anyways going to be active. That's it about today's topic. Please stay tuned for upcoming videos where we will also be discussing about the configuration of VPC, that is the VPC commands, as well as the failure scenarios, as in what happens if the port goes down or if a couple of links go down, etc. So we will be uploading that particular video very soon. Please like, share, subscribe, and also don't forget to hit the notification icon. Thank you.